Well, there's no need for introductions, Ray Don. We know who you are.
You do?
Of course. You're the guy who's always wherever women gather or try to be alone. You want to eat with us when we're dining in hotels. You want to know if the book we're reading is any good or if you can keep us company on the plane. And I want to thank you, Ray Don, on behalf of all the women in the world for your unfailing attention and concern. But read my lips and remember, as hard as it is to believe, sometimes we like talking just to each other, and sometimes we like just being alone. You know, Suzanne, I find this really incredible. 3 hours ago, you were looking for a new gynecologist. So Mary Jo here very graciously gave you the number of her ex-husband. We were all under the impression this was to be a professional medical visit. Now you return with the news that you are dating this person. I mean, forgive my stupidity, but just exactly how does one make that jump from the stirrups in a doctor's office to a booth at TGI Fridays? Excuse me. Aren't you Marjorie Lee Winnick, the current Miss Georgia World?
Why, yes, I am.
I'm Julia Sugarbaker, Suzanne Sugarbaker's sister. I couldn't help overhearing part of your conversation.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was here.
Yes, and I gather from your comments there are a couple of other things you don't know, Marjorie. For example, you probably didn't know that Suzanne was the only contestant in Georgia pageant history to sweep every category except congeniality. And that is not something the women in my family aspire to anyway.
That's really
Or
nice,
that when she walked down the runway in her swimsuit, 5 contestants quit on the spot. Or that when she emerged from the isolation booth to answer the question, what would you do to prevent war? She spoke so eloquently of patriotism, battlefields, and diamond tiaras grown men wept.
That's really
And you probably didn't know, Marjorie, that Suzanne was not just any Miss Georgia. She was the Miss Georgia. She didn't twirl just a baton. That baton was on fire.
Look, that's...
And when she threw that baton into the air, it flew higher, further, faster than any baton has ever flown before, hitting a transformer and showering the darkened arena with sparks.
Look.
And when it finally did come down, Marjorie, my sister caught that baton, and 12,000 people jumped to their feet for 16 and 1/2 minutes of uninterrupted thunderous ovation as flames illuminated her tear-stained face. And that, Marjorie, just so you will know, and your children will someday know, is the night the lights went out in Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Well, now you do. Hello, Mr. Newkirk. Julia Sugarbaker here. Basically, we're upset because you boys returned these sofas to us, which, if I may speak candidly, are not fit to grow penicillin on. And while it is not my business to speculate on what heinous acts they've been subjected to, I'm sure it was far worse than anything Samsonite ever had to endure. That, however, shall remain between you and your chaplain. The bottom line is I expect payment in full within 10 days. I just don't understand why all of you are acting as if this is nothing. I mean, Charlene, you have ranted and raved for weeks about how they brought Bobby Ewing back. But let my son bring home Grandma Moses, and you could care less. Are you finished?
No, not quite. My age seems to be of great concern to you.
Frankly, I'm much more concerned right now about a telephone call I made this morning to a friend of mine who teaches at the university. According to her, you have yourself one of these little flings every fall, and it's always with somebody about 20 years old. Maybe you have a little problem.
I don't have a problem. I'm having a wonderful time.
Well, I think he might be taking this just a little bit more seriously than you are. So you have another think coming if you think that I am going to stand idly by while you use my son for your temporary enjoyment.
Oh, just exactly what do you mean?
I mean, we're going to take this to the woodshed, and one of us is not going to come back alive. Charlene, what has gotten into you?
Don't you know who that is out there?
Mr. Simpson.
Not just Mr. Simpson, Ray Don Simpson. Doesn't that name and face ring a bell?
No.
Don't you remember one time we were sitting in Tokyo Gardens waiting on Suzanne, and he tried to pick up you, me, and Mary Jo? He came over to the table, and you proceeded to annihilate him in front of everyone. Don't you remember? He tried to introduce himself, and you said, "Oh, there's no need for introductions. Ray Don. We know who you are. You're the guy who's always wherever women gather or try to be alone. You want to eat with us in hotels, keep us company on the plane. And then you said, on behalf of all the women of the world, I want to thank you, Ray Don."
I said that.
And he just kind of tucked his little tail between his little legs and crawled back to his little table.
This is that man.
I mean, you killed him, Julia. Now we're all gonna die.
This is what you get, Julia, for always going around acting like the Terminator.
Julia, do you think that was actually a man under that blanket with her?
Of course it was a man. He had on a man's suit and pants. He walked like a man. He looked like a man. Anyway, Suzanne doesn't know any women but us.
I can't believe it. The whole building gone. A smoking pile of rubble. What do you think they were doing in there?
I don't know, but obviously it was a little more than rubbing two sticks together.
It's a miracle Suzanne wasn't hurt.
Don't you worry. I will rectify that.
Well, now, Julia, wait a minute. We don't have all the facts. You don't know for sure that it was her fault.
It has been my experience that wherever disaster strikes, Suzanne cannot be far behind. She has always been the kind of person who wrecks cars, burns holes in the carpeting, writes phone messages on furniture. If she had been on the Hindenburg, she would have been smoking cigarettes.
In her own way, Suzanne feels even worse than we do.
No, she doesn't. She'll have some cock and bull explanation for the whole thing, and then she'll fly off to Barbados, and in a few weeks we'll get one of those "hope you're not still mad at me" cards with a happy face stuck on the front.
Now, Julia, I know Suzanne can be thoughtless, but I just don't believe that.
Then you should talk to Teddy Mack Henson,
Who is Teddy Mack Henson?
a friend of Mother's. Suzanne backed over his dog at a party and sent him an autographed picture of herself the next day.
Julia, you're making that up.
Trust me when I tell you that this is how she operates. I mean, she has been my sister for 30 years.
29.
Look, Mary Jo, all that I am saying is I'm not picking one red cent on that ticket, and if I have to, I will take it all the way to the Supreme Court.
What happened?
We're on the way to the bank to make that deposit, right? But the car breaks down. So while they're working on it, Julia decides that we should walk to the bank and make our drive-through deposit on foot, because the inside of the bank doesn't open till 10.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Thank you, Charlie.
Anybody care for a homemade roll?
No.
So, there we are, standing in the drive-through line. And when we pull up, so to speak, to the glass window, the guy refuses to accept our deposit because we're not inside a vehicle.
That's ridiculous.
So Julia commandeers the back seat of the woman's car behind us and starts yelling for this woman to drive us through the drive-through. And then the bank manager makes Julia get out of the woman's car, and then the police come. Need I say more?
Well, Julie, if you're not going to pay the ticket, what's your defense going to be?
My defense is that when I attempted to use that drive-through window, I was indeed inside a vehicle, the vessel in which I have chosen to go through life, my body.
Oh, Julia, don't be ridiculous. No judge is gonna believe that. If you'd gotten to choose, you would have selected a much newer model.
Suzanne, you know, I'm not in a good mood. So if you would like to pursue this line of thought, I will be perfectly happy to get my late husband's elephant gun and blow you and your homemade buns on out of here.
Well, all the women down at the country club are hot to trot for Reese Watson. Mary Alice just died 2 years ago. Now, why would he want to tie himself down again?
Well, he wouldn't, Suzanne, without sufficient motivation. However, I assure you that if I wanted to motivate him, I could do so a lot sooner than you can jump the next unsuspecting man from behind.
But don't worry, darling, I'm tying up all the loose ends. Just sign right here on the dotted line.
What dotted line? What is that?
Annulment papers.
Annulment papers.
Now, darling, you know how I feel about you, but we shouldn't have to suffer the rest of our lives for one careless, stupid, drunken blunder.
Why, you old sweet talker, you.
Now, Julia, don't get on me here. You know exactly what I'm trying to say.
I understand. He's saying he likes you. He just doesn't want to be married to you.
Yes, I got that. There's nothing wrong with my hearing, just my judgment in men.
Now, careful, darling.
And I want to thank you for your kindness and sensitivity in exposing this obviously private moment to family and friends. I shall be happy to sign your annulment papers, Reese Watson. I hereby annul you and this entire relationship. Now you may take your annulment, fold it in 5 corners, and put it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, she's right here.
He's in New York. As in the city, in the state of New York, and not here with me after we planned this evening 2 months in advance? Happy New Year to you, too. And you can just stay in New York with your old new tax laws. Let me get this straight. You had a date with an escaped convict?
What'd you get him?
I finally found him a pair of pigskin boots, which is what he said he wanted. But of course, shopping being what it is today, it would have been much simpler to just go out into the woods and wrestle a pig barehanded.
Well, I see we've had another altercation with the public at large.
There was no altercation. I simply refuse to be pushed around by department stores where nobody cares anymore because they've all been bought by major corporations who put teenagers in charge of the merchandise who haven't got a clue as to where to find it. Whatever happened to service with a smile? How may we help you and thank you and come again? I'll tell you what happened. They went with that little fellow at the gas station.
What little fellow?
You know, that little fellow in the neatly pressed uniform and bow tie who always used to say, "Fill her up, ma'am."
Yeah, I miss that guy. What happened to him?
They killed him. Who killed him? All those vacuous, slack-jawed people who sit in their little glass booths and tell you to pump it yourself. Maybe I can forego a little privacy for the sake of a good friend. Now, if you and J.D. have been together all these months, and if you really love J.D., and if nothing has happened yet, then I think it's time you took the top off the cookie jar. Well put. Thank you. Oh, I understand how very, very busy you are, and I'll be brief. I've come because I'm a close friend of Charlene Frazier's.
Charlene Frazier is no longer my patient, so I can't say
Actually, I'm here not only on Charlene's behalf. I'm here on behalf of all your patients.
I don't understand.
I have just one question. How many more women are you gonna kill before you retire?
I beg your pardon?
You see, I've done a little checking on you, Dr. Mitchell, and I've discovered that Charlene is not the first woman you told to wait and see. You said the same thing to another close friend of mine, only at that time I didn't know that you were her physician. Well, she trusted you. She waited 4 months before her breast had become so misshapen she had to come back. But by then, it was too late.
Mrs. Sugarbaker, I don't think I would care to discuss with you medical judgments you know nothing about.
Medical jargon doesn't impress me. I was brought up in a medical family, and my grandfather always said 80% was common sense. There's nothing mysterious about having a lump in your breast. It's simple. When you find one, you have it x-rayed or biopsied. I know that. Most physicians know that. What I don't understand is why don't you know that?
Perhaps I'm of the old school.
That's not old school. That's gross incompetence.
Well, it's obvious to me that you are an emotional, overwrought woman.
Not emotional, Doctor. I'm just plain mad. Which is why I'm filing charges against you with the State Medical Bureau and the AMA.
Well, if you want to make a fool of yourself, be my guest. But I can assure you, you are in no way qualified to make these judgments. I think this meeting is over.
I think so, too. But as for qualified, neither are you. You don't depend on medicine. Your weapon is intimidation. You're a seemingly kind, benevolent authority figure who tells women to let you do their worrying for them. Well, there's just one thing wrong with that, Dr. Mitchell. You don't have to do the dying. I just want you to know that we're here for you, and we care. But in the meantime, no way am I decorating a 19-room whorehouse for some two-bit floozy who just blew in from St. Louis.
Julia?
No, I mean it. Not even for $100,000. I will decorate a greenhouse, a hen house, a dog house. I will even decorate an outhouse, but I will not decorate a whorehouse. I'm reporting every constitutional right you have violated. I am seriously involved with Reese Watson, the attorney. The press calls him the Clarence Darrow of Atlanta. When he finishes suing this place, you'll be lucky to get a job assisting the Tidy Bowl man.
Will you shut your mouth? You are driving me crazy. One more word and we're going to do a full body search.
I beg your pardon.
You heard me.
Listen very carefully. If any person dares to violate one orifice on this body, she will be eating her teeth for breakfast. I do indeed appear to be the picture of Southern gentility, but when I get riled, I make Rambo look like Little Mary Sunshine. Am I making myself crystal clear? I'm ready.
Darling, something came up. I'm sorry. I have to take another deposition.
You know, this story is starting to need a little work.
Well, you can come with us if you like.
Us?
Yeah. Shannon's helping me.
No, thank you. I think one babysitter for this girl is quite enough.
Yeah, now, come on, y'all don't fight.
This is not a fight. It's just a misunderstanding. All I did was break a date.
6 dates in a row. I may need new glasses, but I am not blind. You've been running around with your tongue hanging out after somebody half your age and insulting me with these ridiculous excuses. The next thing I know, you'll be saying she's your niece.
She is not my niece. She's an attorney in my law firm.
Oh, come on, you two, don't fight.
This is not a fight. It's a misunderstanding. And I don't understand what you're so upset about. After all, I'm still taking you to the dance.
Oh, no, you're not.
Huh?
I wouldn't go to that dance with you now if you got down on your hands and knees and crawled across Georgia.
Well, then I guess we're not going because there's not much chance of me doing that.
You know what I'm gonna do now, Reese Watson? I'm gonna go up those stairs, and when I come down, you better be gone or I'm gonna call the police and have you arrested for trespassing.
You know, Julia, sometimes you just need to be taken out and actually horsewhipped.
You're not the man that's gonna do it. Now get out and stay out. You know, Miss Gibbs, growing up in the rural part of Georgia, I've been around compost all my life. I've seen it loaded onto wagons and tilled and hoed and spread across fields far and wide. But until today, I must say, I've never seen it tied up and gift-wrapped in quite so neat and tidy and pretty a package. Congratulations. You're a very clever girl. But it's still compost. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll leave you to dig your way out. You do know how to dig, don't you? You just get down on your hands and knees and shovel.
Around the office, we call her the Terminator.
What I don't understand is why these things are always happening to you and Charlene.
Wait a minute, how'd I get into this? I don't think I have that many things happen to me.
Charlene, get serious. Name me one other person who has been in 9 automobile accidents and had a pet struck by lightning.
What's your point?
My point is that maybe somehow you and Anthony inadvertently bring trouble on yourselves.
Oh, I don't think that's true. You think that's true, Mary Jo?
You were the only one who went to Furniture Mart that got hijacked.
Oh, and this is my fault because a man I've never met before sits down next to me and says, "Tonight we dance in Havana."
All I'm saying is that it's always something. And this Galen King person, whoever he is going to turn out to be another big disaster. I can smell it a mile away. Everything will be in an uproar for days. Lifeboats will be brought out. Everyone will be screaming. We're all going to die. All I'm saying is just this once. When trouble knocks at our door, couldn't we just tell trouble to fold it in 5 corners and put it where the sun don't shine, okay?
Yeah. But you be the one to say it.
You take it easy.
He shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake. I keep a little list of people who pat my behind without permission. And several of them have died unnatural and untimely deaths.
How'd it go at the bank, Julia?
Don't ask. The bank isn't interested in extending our loan, and on top of that, I had to be insulted in the parking lot by a bunch of rude and vulgar adolescent cretins.
What'd they say?
Who?
The adolescent cretins.
It doesn't matter what they said. They said what they always say.
Well, I know, but just out of curiosity, what was it?
All right, Charlie, and if you must know, they said, say Mama sure would like to be your daddy. Got to have me some of that. Charlene, this man is not the public. This man left the public a long time ago. This man has not had a bath since Dwight Eisenhower was president. Dizzy.
I don't like it.
I beg your pardon.
Well, it doesn't have any red, white, or blue in it. I told you I wanted something to go with the American flag.
Yes, I know, but we've been all over that. We cannot decorate around the American flag.
Why not?
Because no one puts a flagpole in the middle of the room.
Why not?
Because it would look odd.
I thought that the customer was always right.
Well, you were mistaken. That was 2 weeks, 3 wallpapers, 2 floor coverings, 11 sofas, 4 end tables, and 16 lamps ago. We are no longer interested in what the customer thinks or wants, and furthermore, there is not going to be a vibrating bed with a pay box or a revolving screen lamp with a camp scene. Not as long as the name Sugarbaker rests on this project. Not now, not ever. Do you understand?
Yes, I think I do.
Where are you going?
Home.
You can't go home. We're fumigating again.
I thought you already did that.
Yeah, we did, but now we have to kill all the stuff that showed up after the first stuff died.
Well, then I'll just go. Period.
Fine. Why don't you just do that?
Julia, Eldon, now, please, don't go off half-cocked and talk to the newspapers or anything. We can discuss this calmly.
There is nothing to discuss. It will be a cold day in May before I ever fill out another one of your entry cards.
Wonderful. We'd like that in writing. Goodbye. Good luck. And here's your luggage.
As far as I'm concerned, this disease has one thing going for it. It's killing all the right people.
Imogene, I'm terribly sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to move your car.
Why?
Because you're leaving.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the only thing worse than all these people who never had any morals before AIDS are all you holier-than-thou types who think you're exempt from getting it.
Well, for your information, I am exempt. I hadn't lived like these people, and I don't care what you say, Julia Sugarbaker. I believe this is God's punishment for what they've done.
Oh, yeah? Then how come lesbians get it less?
That is not for me to say. I just know that these people are getting what they deserve.
Imogene, get serious. Who do you think you're talking to? I've known you for 27 years, and all I can say is, if God was giving out sexually transmitted diseases to people as a punishment for sinning, then you would be at the free clinic all the time. And so would the rest of us.
I think she makes a good point.
Oh, who cares what you think? You're not even all there.
Well, as long as we're on the subject, neither are you.
Well, You needn't look forward to any more of my business in this lifetime.
Wonderful. I'll close out your account. And another thing, my son has an A in chemistry. In fact, he's making all A's in everything, including PE.
Well, what'd they say?
Doesn't matter. They said the same asinine stuff they always say.
Well, I know, but just out of curiosity, what was it?
Charlene, we always go through this. Why do you have to know?
I don't know. It's a sickness.
All right, Charlene, if you must know, they said, hey, sweetmeat, what it is, strut it out. Bring it on home to me now. Okay? For the horse, Suzanne, even if you are my sister, I'm gonna have to write you up. What for? Failure ration. Everybody knows you drive around hoarding nylons and chocolates and siphoning you know what? Gasoline breath.
Watson, we're looking for Julia Sugarbaker, also known as the Terminator.
Yes, I am Julia Sugarbaker.
Miss Sugarbaker, the president is asking you to make a phone call right here now, live on Armed Services Radio to be broadcast to our troops all around the world.
Oh, well, I'm very flattered. Who does the president want me to call?
Adolf Hitler. All you have to do is tell him off. The president feels that you are the only person who can give our troops that final push to win the war.
Well, I'll do my best.
I think this calls for a little piano accompaniment.
Yeah.
Mr. Hitler.
Yeah.
Julia Sugarbaker here, American citizen. I just wanted you to know, Mr. Hitler, no matter how many overgrown, stiff-armed bully boys you surround yourself with, that aside from being evil incarnate, you will always be just a short, little, ill-tempered mongrel weakling who, for all his concerns about pedigree, can't even grow a good-looking mustache. And no matter how many rockets light the skies over Germany, you will never find your way through the haze of Winston Churchill's cigar smoke. And all the goose-stepping soldiers left on God's green earth can't step high enough to get you around Franklin Roosevelt's wheelchair. And I'll tell you why, Mr. Hitler. Because we're America.
Well, anyway, I don't care how much money they paid that Ned Beatty. Not even for $50 million, but I run around in nothing but a pair of white jockey underwear and be made to squeal like a pig. Her, Joe, would you?
For $50 million, I might.
Would you, Julia?
I'm not discussing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you watching? Love Connection?
No, it's just on.
Well, why wouldn't you answer my question?
Charlene, because I don't want to hear any more about that squealing like a pig thing. I'm sick of it. I'll tell you something else. I think this illness has affected your brain. Or I've just never before noticed the extent of your unequaled ability to be fascinated at absolutely nothing.
I can't believe you're so easy.
Why not? I got 15 minutes to kill. Might as well have an editor for breakfast. Hello, good morning. Editorials, please. Thank you. Yes, I'm calling about an article that was in your August the 4th issue. Oh, no one is in yet? Well, I'd just like to leave a message then, please. Just say that Julia Sugarbaker called from Atlanta. You know, the one that burned. We've rebuilt since the war, and it's actually quite pleasant down here. Some of us are even managing to hold down jobs and find our way home at night in spite of being born and educated here. And I'd like to elaborate on that point if someone will just be so kind as to call me back. 404-555-8600. Thank you. That was good. I like that. Well, I, for one, have always been partial to women have served all these centuries as looking glasses, possessing the magic and delicious power of reflecting the figure of man at twice his natural size. It's you we don't like.
Fine. Can we go back to sleep now?
No, you cannot go to sleep, Reese Watson.
Ow.
Sit up here and listen to me. I've had about enough of this foolishness. I'm a mature woman with a grown son. But for some reason, every time I go away with you and our friends for a weekend, I am reduced to participating in these pubescent teenage situations where it's the boys against the girls, and it always ends up in a big fight. What I want to know is, why?
Well, I can't say for sure, Julia, but sometimes you do have a little bit of an attitude.
You're darn right I have an attitude. And my attitude is that Charlie and Mary Jo and Suzanne and I have come down here to have an enjoyable, pleasant, peaceful vacation. And so far, our only reward has been to sit around and watch you men drool in your socks over some Scandinavian import we have never seen before and will never see again, unless, of course, one or more of you has recently become engaged.
To respond to a secretary's charge that he only hires attractive female office staff, his pathetic defense was, she flatters herself. Well, Mr. Briquette, I think you're confused. I think it's you who flatter yourself, that you are in any way a legitimate member of the Board of Commissioners, that you are a viable public representative, that you are, in fact, even a spokesperson for anyone other than an arrogant, narrow, callous, insensitive, ignorant, and ill-informed constituency of one. Well, I had no idea you people considered me a raging maniac. You must be frightened to come to work. I mean, just because I feel passionately about certain subjects does not mean that I am unable to control myself in public or anywhere else, for that matter. As a matter of fact, the more I think about this, the more I like the idea of running for office. It's an idea that I have toyed with from time to time. I do care about the issues, and I don't like Wilson Briquette. No, Mr. Briquette, I have not forgotten. I was thinking that you seemed to have forgotten the phrase separation of church and state, but the one thing I did forget was just how divisive and dishonest and distasteful someone like you can be. I've sat here today and listened to you pander to these people, but you don't actually care about them, or you wouldn't be sitting here reinforcing their ignorance and prejudices.
You heard that, caller. She just called you ignorant and prejudiced.
I do not think everyone in America is ignorant. Far from it. But we are today probably the most uneducated, underread, and illiterate nation in the Western Hemisphere, which makes it all the more puzzling to me why the biggest question on your small mind is whether or not little Johnny is going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. I'll tell you something else, Mr. Briquette. I have had it up to here with you and your phony issues and your Yankee Doodle yakking. If you like reciting the Pledge of Allegiance every day, then I think you should do it. In the car, in the shower, wherever the mood strikes you. But don't try to tell me when or where I have to say or do or salute anything, because I am an American too. And that is what being an American is all about. And another thing, I am sick and tired of being made to feel that if I am not a member of a little family with 2.4 children who goes just to Jerry Falwell's church and puts their hands over their hearts every morning, that I am unreligious, unpatriotic, and un-American, because I have news for you, Mr. Briquette. All liberals are not kooks any more than all conservatives are fascists. And the last time I checked, God was neither a Democrat nor a Republican. And just for your information, yes, I am a liberal, but I am also a Christian. And I get down on my knees and pray every day on my own turf, on my own time. And one of the things that I pray for, Mr. Briquette, is that people with power will get good sense. And people with good sense will get power. And that the rest of us will be blessed with the patience and the strength to survive the people like you in the meantime.
I have a medical excuse. I have PMS. And by this Saturday, that train will be pulling into my station.
Suzanne, I hate to disappoint you, but as your sister, I can tell you, the only train that's going to be pulling into your station on Saturday is the train of big fools, and you're going to be on it with the rest of us.
Well, why can't I just lie here like this with it draped over me?
Because that would be stupid. Hello? Yes, this is Julia Sugarbaker. It's Jackson Weeks' office. Hello? Oh, you're the secretary. Well, actually, I was calling regarding an article he wrote about Southerners eating dirt, but if Mr. Weeks is too busy to return my call, yes, you can give him a message. You do take shorthand, don't you? Good. We take it in the South, too. Anyway, just tell him that I've been a Southerner all my life, and I can vouch for the fact that we do eat a lot of things down here. And we've certainly all had our share of grits. And I'm sure that there are no self-respecting Southerners anywhere who haven't consumed at least several tons of their mama's homemade biscuits and gravy. And I myself have probably eaten enough fried chicken to feed a third world country, not to mention barbecue, cornbread, watermelon, fried pies, okra, and yes, if I were being perfectly candid, I would have to admit we have also eaten our share of crow. And for all I know, during the darkest, leanest years of the Civil War, some of us may have had a Yankee or two for breakfast. But speaking for myself and hundreds of thousands of my Southern ancestors who have evolved through the many decades of poverty, strife, and turmoil, I would like for Mr. Weeks to know that we have surely eaten many things in the past. And we will surely eat many things in the future, but God as my witness, we have never, I repeat, never eaten dirt.
Just a moment, please. Jackson Weeks in New York.
Hello? Yes, this is Julia Sugarbaker. Oh, well, I left you a message. Didn't your secretary give it to you? Oh, too bad she's gone home. Well, maybe she left it on your desk. Yes, that's it. Why don't I just wait while you read it? Yes, Mr. Weeks. I know that your time is valuable. And my time is very valuable, too. In fact, I have 6 hungry Southerners standing here waiting to take me to dinner. So why don't I just condense it and make it short and to the point? Mr. Weeks, eat dirt.
There you go. What did he say to you?
Charlene, why do you always want to know these things?
Well, I'm just curious. Come on, we all told.
All right, Charlene, if you must know, he said, looking good. I want it. I need it. Got to, have it now.
How come those curtain people are picking it up?
For the same reason there are floods and pestilence. For the same reason there are plagues of locusts. For the same reason tornadoes always hit trailer parks. You'll find, Mr. Emery, that I'm not very interested in being queen of anything. Frankly, I'm much more concerned right now about how you treat your subjects.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about piecework, Mr. Emery. I'm talking about taking scared, desperate people and paying them not an hourly wage, not a living wage, not even a minimum wage, but by the piece, which I believe, Mr. Emery, is illegal. So I don't think I'm going to be taking my beautiful curtains today. I think I'm going to be taking my non-refundable deposit check right now.
You are one tough customer, Mrs. Sugarbaker. I break my back trying to fill this order for you. Well, I'm having considerable problems of my own out there. You come in here, obviously all puffed up about some union crap that is clearly none of your business.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it when you can't finish that job, when that hotel doesn't open on time, and when all that other labor is out of work.
That's a very compelling argument. You know, I was reciting it to myself just this morning, but there's a problem with it. It doesn't wash. See, basically that argument goes, it's okay to be unfair to a small group if that makes things run smoother for a large group. It sounds good until you realize that's always been the excuse for all the injustice in the world. You have to look out for that argument because ultimately we're all small groups and we're all labor. So until you wake up and take in that fact, Mr. Emery, Textile City ain't big enough for the both of us.
Suzanne, Bernice has put out $1,200 non-refundable dollars. We have all just sat through a 4-hour lecture. Now, I don't want to go any more than you do, but I'm telling you, I have rolled my sleeping bag, I have backed my pack, and I have filled my canteen.
So what do you say?
I'm saying get on the bus, Gus.
Panama, pull him out.
This is a nightmare. I know it must be true because I saw my face on television, but yet it doesn't seem like it could be true. I mean that people could actually think or will think that I conspired with a 14-year-old child to rob a convenience store. That I, Julia Sugarbaker, drove a getaway car loaded with baseball cards and girly magazines.
As her lawyer, I would think you'd be trying to uphold her will, not break it. Clearly insane. No, I don't believe Mrs. Whitehead was clearly insane. And you are mistaken, Mr. Alder, if you think we're going to allow your offices to defame a dead woman, put the cat she loved in a pound, suck all the money you can out of her estate, and give the rest to the state of Georgia just to make your life easier. And I'll tell you another thing, Mr. Alder. I think it's stupid to give that money to a cat. But the only thing stupider would be to give it to lawyers like you. Who am I? I tell you who I am, Mr. Alder. I am Mr. Bailey's decorator.
Suzanne, I still cannot believe you were dumb enough to hang out the second story of your house and fire a semi-automatic rifle into the dark Georgia night. We could all have been killed.
Well, that's what you get for taking a rock and breaking out my window.
I don't understand that. I hardly threw it.
The other thing I cannot believe is that any lame-brained idiot would sell you something like that. He's the one who ought to be down here.
I agree with you. But unfortunately, you can buy guns in Woolworths now.
Well, that is just ridiculous. If I ever get out of this mess, I am going straight to Washington. And I am going to take on the gun lobbies and all those wimpy, slack-jawed politicians who are terrified of them, and we are going to get a sane law passed in this country that makes these kind of semi-automatic rifles illegal, because you and I and every deer hunter in America know in our hearts that these weapons are not used for hunting anything but people.
Did you see this, Julia?
What is it?
It's a new list of the 10 worst-dressed women.
No, I didn't, Suzanne. And furthermore, I could not be less interested in the ravings of some self-important fashion designer who skitters out of obscurity once a year to compile a cruel, snickering list that belongs in a high school slam book, but for some reason gets printed in respectable newspapers.
You know...
I might be able to offer you one piece of wisdom.
Yeah? What's that?
I believe that you will find, as years go by, and you get older and wiser, traversing life's little ups and downs, that underwear probably really doesn't make all that good of a hat.
The fact that you are unaware of what you are giving off is just going to make it that much sexier. It's going to be unbelievable. Okay, let's just undo this button here. It's just kind of a rumpled look we're after. Okay, now, right up here. Are you watching this, Estelle?
Yeah, still trembling.
What I'm trying to say is that we're having second thoughts.
Okay, you're looking out there, The code is here. Don't move. This is pure class. Did I tell you I once shot Jennifer Jones? Okay, wet your lips.
I'm sorry, I don't do that. Nor do I perspire.
Just a little moisture. Okay, now let's take these pearls and we're gonna take them across your mouth. That's it. Okay. Now, you're looking out, you're lost in thought, and you're just ever so slightly sucking them.
That's it! Out!
What? What's the matter?
I'm saying I want you and your equipment out of here now. If you are looking for somebody to suck pearls, then I suggest you try finding yourself an oyster, because I am not a woman who does that. As a matter of fact, I don't know any woman who does that, because it's stupid, and it doesn't have any more to do with decorating than having cleavage and looking sexy has to do with working in a bank. All right. These are not pictures about the women of Atlanta. These are about just the same thing they're always about. And it doesn't matter whether clothes are on or off. It's just the same old message. And I don't care how many pictures you've taken of movie stars. When you start snapping photos of serious, successful businessmen like Donald Trump and Lee Iacocca in unzipped jumpsuits with wet lips, straddling chairs, then we'll talk.
That's what the rapists and muggers count on, Charlene. They count on my having too good taste, and you're not wanting to hurt anybody, and Suzanne not wanting to roll around the sidewalk, Mary Jo being so terrified she can't move. They count on all of that. It is unbelievable to me that every 60 seconds in this country, a woman is sexually assaulted.
60 seconds? How'd you know that?
It's in that brochure they gave us. Didn't you read it?
No, my pig ate my brochure.
You know, I think that women are just about ready to say, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
If you come up to us with a gun or a knife, you better be prepared to use it right then and there, because we are not going anywhere with you. And we are not going to be dug up, raped, and mutilated months later on some rural road. We are going to be prepared to stand and fight with dignity in the parking lots and the shopping centers and the driveways of America. But, buddy, you better be prepared to do the same, because even at the very least, one of us is gonna be walking funny.
Julie, what happened?
What happened is very simple, Charlene. I saw their little poster. I knocked it down. There is no longer a problem.
You've got a problem, lady.
I don't think so. I think that I am a member of the majority of the American public who knows this kind of filthy enterprise exists, but doesn't care to have it pushed in my own face, on my own street. Thank you very much.
I told you it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. One minute she's making a rational, intelligent argument. The next minute she's driving up on the sidewalk.
Julia, you shouldn't have done that.
There is nothing wrong with that poster, lady. Where do you get off deciding it's coming down?
I realize that different people have different definitions of what is obscene. I myself may not be able to define pornography, but I know it when I run over it. You know what really infuriates me? That man at the newsstand kept talking about how that poster is protected by the First Amendment right of free speech. That is an argument that's wearing a little thin with me. I believe in the First Amendment as much as anybody else. But I also know that when our forefathers were fighting and dying at Valley Forge, they were not really doing it to protect a publication called Hot Tushies. What I was trying to say is that every sleazy rag in the country hides behind the First Amendment, and I am sick and tired of it. Maybe I shouldn't have knocked down that sign, but now that newsstand owner knows that I mean business, and I doubt he'll put it back up again. It was certainly an expensive proposition for me, but he can't afford to close that stand every day either. So, that's that.
Well, I hate to say this, Julian. You know that I hate that poster just as much as you do. But what you're talking about is censorship.
Do you honestly believe that anyone has a constitutional right to show a poster of a woman being degraded, chained up with a dog collar, and whipped? You couldn't show a black man depicted that way because it would be considered incitatory speech. So why would we demand any less for women? The First Amendment was designed to protect political speech, and everybody knows it. Now,
And free speech will always be protected in this country.
I know it will, but pornography won't always be, Miss Wilder. This country will let the Nazis speak, and we will let the Ku Klux Klansmen speak, because as despicable as their statements are, they are speaking their mind. But when you publish your magazine, you're not speaking your mind. You'd shut that magazine down tomorrow if it weren't turning a profit. You know it, and I know it. Pornography is not free speech, it's commerce. Otherwise, you couldn't zone it out of certain nice areas of the city.
Well, I see I'm getting nowhere. We're both businesswomen. Let's just leave it at that. I won't bother you, and you won't bother me.
No, that's not quite right, Miss Wilder. You bother me very much. I know I can be sanctimonious and self-righteous, but nevertheless, I've just got to say it. Shame on you for calling yourself a feminist. And shame on you for demeaning and hurting women everywhere, all for a lousy nickel. I may not be able to stop you today, but someday we're gonna zone you right out of the city. And then we're gonna zone you right out of the county. And then we're gonna zone you right out of the country. And in fact, Miss Wilder, if I have my way, we might just zone you right off the globe. All right, that's it. Now you listen to me, and you listen good. We have had just about as much of you people as we're gonna take. I don't know what glacier you stepped out of, but my advice to you is to take yourself and your 3 slack-jawed sons down to the nearest mental health clinic. Well, I'm sorry, we don't. And just for the record, I think you should know that even if Bernice were crazy, that doesn't necessarily mean she should be put away.
What are you saying?
I'm saying this is the South, and we're proud of our crazy people.
We don't hide them up in the attic. We bring them right down to the living room and show them off. See, Phyllis, no one in the South ever asks if you have crazy people in your family. They just ask which side they're on.
Oh. And which side are yours on, Mrs. Sugarbaker?
Both.
Okay, she's finished.
Oh, Julia, you look beautiful. Thank you, Charlie.
I don't know.
What's wrong?
I think these pantyhose are too dark for this dress.
Oh, my goodness. You better do something. That could be embarrassing. I mean, in 45 minutes, when the finest people in Georgia are gathered here before me, I wouldn't want anyone to say, "Did you see that woman with her head stuck in the staircase?" Yes, that woman the governor just stepped over. Don't you think her pantyhose are a little too dark for her dress?
Now, listen, I have a lighter pair right here.
Suzanne, of all the experiences I would like to avoid, I believe having my pantyhose changed in the front hallway of the governor's mansion would rank right up there.
Well, just excuse me for living. It wasn't something I was going to particularly enjoy myself. Anyway, what's the overall game plan here? I mean, am I supposed to come back after the ball and change you into a nightie?
The plan is, Suzanne, to try to get through the evening, moment by moment, preserving some tiny modicum of the dignity I have tried my entire life, obviously without success, to maintain.
I don't know, Julia. I think we need to get a better plan.
I see smart women's stupid books.
Julia, a lot of women swear by this book. I just want to see what it says.
I can tell you what it says. It says what they all say. Hey, all you single women, there's something really wrong with you. Do as we say or die alone. It's just a bunch of clever publishers preying on women's insecurities. I don't see a lot of men running out to buy How to Please a Woman. Where is the book, The Men Who Love Too Much?
May I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
Who?
This is a bookstore, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes. I could tell by the many videotapes, calendars, and stuffed animals on display. Tell me, do you have any books? I mean, literature. Anything written by anybody who hasn't appeared on Donahue.
There's another shipment coming in. Maybe there'll be some in there.
I see. Well, tell me this. Do you, by any chance, have any stuffed toys that look like the hind end of a cartoon cat that would attach to my car's rear window with little suction cups?
Yeah, do you want one?
No.
Oh.
All right, that's it. Look, Miss Langford.
Please, call me Gabby.
No, I won't call you Gabby. You haven't taken the time to learn any of our names.
Well, that's not so. I know Anthony.
That's right, you do. First, you kept us waiting for 35 minutes. And then, when you decided you were bored enough to come downstairs, the only thing you've acted the least bit interested in is seducing our delivery man.
Seducing? Well, if that's what you think I was doing, then obviously you haven't got the artistic sensibility required to work with me.
No, Miss Langford. What I don't have that's required to work with you is patience.
Julia.
Because, quite frankly, I find you rude, lazy, horny, and dumb. Julia! And now that we have met Louise Pollard, there isn't money enough in the world to make us redecorate this condominium. And so please don't bother firing us. We quit. And thank you for stopping by, Mr. Jones. Goodbye and good luck.
Please call me Daddy.
All right. Goodbye, Daddy.
Being that I'm here, I just might as well invest in a real nice piece of furniture.
I'm sorry, we don't sell furniture, just knickknacks.
You ain't got none of them naughty pine tables with a high gloss on it, are you?
No, I'm sorry, we don't.
Well, you don't know where I might be able to get one, do you?
No, I don't. Maybe in the woods.
What's keeping Suzanne and Anthony?
Charlene, are you serious? A 6-foot black man dressed like Hazel just left here with Suzanne.
His co-conspirator to defraud and deceive the United States government, and you're wondering what's keeping him? Well, it's been 3.5 hours. I don't think you have to wonder anymore. I think it's pretty obvious. They are in prison.
All right, that's it. This is not a whorehouse. This is my house. And I have had all I'm gonna take of you. You don't care about history. You just want to sell it. You don't even sell it honestly. You just want to sell the myth of the old South. You all know that myth, don't you? Happy darkies singing in the fields while Miss Scarlet primps around throwing hissy fits. Well, that's an insult. It isn't the South. It's an insult to all the people who lived and died here not so very long ago. Yes, we Southerners have had to endure many things. But one thing we Southerners do not have to endure is a bunch of bored housewives turning historical homes into theme parks, not to mention ill-mannered tourists with their big gulps, Slurpees, Misties, and Frosties, their dirty feet overflowing rubber thongs, and babies who sneeze fudgesicle juice. Out! I will burn it down myself before I let you in again. Now, Randa, I do not believe in disciplining other people's children, but in your case, I'm going to make an exception because I do believe in disciplining out-of-control clients. Now, you are going to straighten up and fly right, and that includes good manners, appreciation for our work, and respect for your elders. That is to say, your mental elders. Okay. No, your dinner's Friday night.
Yeah. What about it?
Well, Friday night's the night Suzanne and I get to go crazy in the record store, grabbing whatever we want.
Oh, well, this certainly puts me on the horns of a dilemma. Now, I have to choose. Do I want to have dinner with two people who are trying to change this planet for the better with their selfless efforts, or do I want to watch you and Suzanne go on a humongous pig fest in a public shopping mall? Hello, Charlene. I just wanted to thank you again for turning me in to the judge. Now the whole jury is sequestered till Lord only knows when, and I am here in Motel Hell, sharing a room with a woman with no lips.
Julia, I had to do it. We violated that law. By the way, I don't think you're supposed to be making telephone calls. I'd hate to have to report this, too.
If you are so all-fired, hepped up about turning people in, I believe that you will find some overdue library books in my upstairs den. Why don't you just report them, too, and then maybe you'll get your merit badge, you big old donkey Girl Scout.
Now, Julia, you sound overwrought.
Yeah, well, you're gonna think overwrought. If I miss my dinner with Jimmy and Rosalind Carter because of this, you're gonna pay and pay big. I'm gonna find you and hunt you down like a dog. I'm talking about you running through the woods in the snow with bloodhounds ripping your clothes off. And remember, Charlene, I have your address. You'd be wise to ask yourself, do I know where my baby is? 4 and 1. Against. All right, that's 7-4. Who didn't vote? Well, Janice, what is the problem? Did you intend to mime your vote?
I'm just not comfortable making a decision yet.
I see. And yet you are perfectly comfortable smearing your face with white grease paint and annoying pedestrians all over Atlanta. Interesting. No, really, Janice, I think it's time you came to a decision. As a matter of fact, I think it's time you all came to a decision. We've been here almost 3 days, and apparently you people have nothing better to do than to sit around here hogging up the taxpayers' money, eating baskets of fried cheese, and staying at the Fair Price Motel, which I understand some of you think is one of the nicest places you've been in a while. Well, let me tell you something. It is not the nicest place I have been in a while. And for your further information, I am having dinner with a former president and first lady of the United States tonight because we are all going to be out of here. And the reason we're all going to be out of here is that this case is very simple. Did any of you listen to the judge's instructions? He practically told us to acquit. The case is frivolous. The defendant was not negligent. Case closed. QED. Over and out. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. I want you to go up to the table and mark your ballots. And if you don't mark them right, I'm going to rip that fire extinguisher off the wall and blow your overfed, underread, simple-minded butts out onto the Fair Price Motel parking lot.
I don't think jury members are supposed to threaten each other. I don't appreciate that.
Oh, really? Well, I don't appreciate your leaving your big old box of June Allison bladder pads on my nightstand for all the maids and bellboys to see. Of course, you don't care if you never get out of here. You don't even have to get up to go to the bathroom. Now, I am passing out these slips for the final ballot. And I want to tell you right now, read my lips. Mark your slip wrong, and I will wrap it around a fried cheese ball and shove it down your throat.
Sugarbakers? No, this is not. Psychic World Bookstore, good morning. Oh, you're looking for some books about channeling, are you? Well, I'm sorry, we don't carry those anymore. Why not? Well, you see, we found out there's no such thing. Yes, it was all just a silly hoax designed to separate rich and foolish people from their money. Boy, are we embarrassed. Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, crystals are just rocks. Spread the word.
But I know we have to roast marshmallows and tell ghost stories.
Charlene, get this straight. We're not telling ghost stories. We're not roasting marshmallows. We're not braiding each other's hair. We're not freezing our underwear. And we're not calling anyone on the phone and asking them if their refrigerator is running. We're going to turn out the lights and go to sleep.
Yeah, that's right, Anthony.
You got us. You really got us. You got us all. You scared us out of our skins. You've got the scariest costumes. Charlene's got the scariest story. But I've got the scariest life because I have to work with you people. Now, I hope y'all got this out of your systems because I'm really going to bed now, and the person who wakes me up will live to regret it.
Just let me slip this under your chin.
Maybe you didn't understand. She doesn't want to wear the stupid hat.
Who are you?
I am the birthday fairy.
What?
Something happened. Many things happened. During the course of the evening, Mrs. Chesley consumed a full bottle of wine, whereupon she spat obscenities at the cast of Jake and the Fat Man. Then she insisted my bathroom was not clean enough, proceeded to do something about it, and told me my mop smelled. What? My floor mop, Mary Jo. She said it stank and she wasn't going to stand for it. That's when I decided that one of us had to go, and since my name is on the mortgage, there really wasn't much choice, know what I mean?
All right, that's it. I've had it. I don't care if this Lolita's George Bush in drag. This argument is stupid. In fact, it's the stupidest argument I've ever heard. I don't want to hear any more about it, and I don't want to eat your belly out. I just want to go to sleep.
Judy, now keep your voice down. This is a hotel.
Excuse me. For the past 48 hours, I have endured in this loony bin. I have witnessed every debauchery allowed under the Napoleonic Code. Drunken men have
have paraded before me in lampshades. Girls in bikinis have thrust their samples in my face. I have been the only person in this entire city who has maintained even one semblance of decorum, and you are now telling me to keep my voice down? Well, this is the last straw.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sleep in Anthony's room, and I don't care who knows it, and I don't care how it looks. Hey, 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 New Orleans! I am Julia Sugarbaker, and I'm gonna go sleep in Anthony Bouvier's room. I am white, he is black. We are not engaged, and he is significantly younger than I am. So just put that in your etouffee and chug on it.
Oh, gosh, Julia, we didn't mean to leave you out. You want to come too?
Well, let me get this offer straight. Y'all want me to go with you down to the Dollar Theater with the sticky floor to watch 12 hours of Sylvester Stallone bleeding from the nose and mouth with both his eyes swollen shut. I think I'll pass. Suzanne, I am appalled. This is way over the top even for you. Now read my lips. As of this moment, the Suzanne Shopping Club is terminated. 86th, out of business. In other words, Elvis has left the building.
Oh, hey, how'd your driving test go? Did you get your license?
No, Charlene, I didn't. Thanks to Suzanne's totally deranged, utterly psychotic, incredibly stupid housekeeper.
What happened?
Well, for starters, all during the written test, Consuela kept looking over my shoulder and taking my answers. And then when I finally told her to stop it, the clerk walked over, took away my test paper, and then proceeded to publicly chastise me, Julia Sugarbaker, for cheating. Then while I was being detained in a dingy, poorly ventilated office, she went on to take the driving test. But unfortunately, she ran into a bit of a snag at the drive-through window.
Well, what do you mean? Our DMV doesn't have a drive-through window?
They do now.
Hello, Dee Dee? Hi, it's Julia. Yeah, I thought I told you I probably wouldn't go. Well, if you're desperate, I'll play with you all. But not at the Beaumont Driving Club. No, it's nothing personal. It's just that the Beaumont Club is for white people only, and I don't think I qualify. You see, my grandmother on my mother's side once listened to a Johnny Mathis record. So we're not pure anymore. Yes, I'm serious. I'm not doing it. That's right. Well, bye.
Come on, this is ridiculous. Come on.
I heard about enough out of this bench. Now, what do you want? Extra strikes? Maybe a little extra time? Maybe you'd like me to go skipping around the bases telling stories to all the little children. Is that what you want?
No, I want you to get a pair of glasses.
Excuse me?
And maybe a nice seeing eye dog.
That's it, I heard enough. You're out of the game.
I'm out of the game.
You're out of the game.
I'm out of the game. Well, you're ugly.
Get her out of here.
You probably have a dangerously high cholesterol count.
Yes, Allison Sugarbaker speaking. Yes, I'll hold. Hello, this is Allison Sugarbaker.
Hello, Allison. This is your cousin, Julia. I'm calling to tell you there is a huge bird on your head. Not just any bird. We're talking giant whooping crane. I'm speaking to you on the phone because it is not my wish to embarrass and annihilate you in front of everyone here. This is too small a group. What I would prefer is to embarrass and annihilate you in front of 70,000 people at Fulton County Stadium. Since that's not possible today, let me just give you two basic choices. You can either quit, or I can kill you. Think about it and let me know.
again.
All right. I've had about enough of this.
Well, Julia, she started this.
I don't care. Suzanne's house is big enough for both of you. As I see it, there are two alternatives. Either the two of you can resolve your differences in some civilized manner, or you can kill one another. Either way is fine with me, because either way, I won't have to hear about it anymore.
Julia, wait! Wait.
What is it?
Well, I just wanted to hear how your date went last night.
You know, Allison, you were very clever with those little quotation marks, but just for the record, I prefer my conversations straightforward and unencumbered by little rabbit gestures. Do you get it?
Oh, but I was right, wasn't I? Your boyfriend didn't lay a hand on you, did he?
Not that it is even remotely any of your business, but just to wipe that smirk off your face, I will tell you, you were not right. He is positively not gay.
How do you know?
I picked up some subtle signals while he had his tongue down my throat. Now, what do you say to that?
He must be bi.
Allison, he is not, okay? You were wrong. You were always wrong, and you never want to admit it. He is straight. There is no question about it. He made that fact uncomfortably clear.
Uncomfortably? I'm sorry. It's a habit. It's going to take some getting used to. I'm just so interested in this word, uncomfortably.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Trump. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I'm just calling you to say, on behalf of the American public, Mr. Trump, we no longer care who you date. We really don't. You are no longer obligated to alert the news media every time your pants are on fire because we don't care. So, please feel free to fire your many hacks, flacks, and publicists employed for this purpose because, and I repeat, we don't care. Who am I? Who am I? Well, you've never met me, but you can just call me the Julia. I don't care if he uses a pony's rear end as an ashtray. He's still a bore and a deadbeat. I'm sorry. I've always despised the notion that poor people have to pay their bills and rich people don't. Is this the invoice, Carlene?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to show you how we handle Mr. Lester Pittman.
Uh-oh. She took off her earring. That means she's greased to kill.
Hello, Mr. Pittman. This is Julia Sugarbaker. It has come to my attention that you have not settled your account with us for the custom draperies in your solarium. That bill is now 6 months overdue. I am giving you 1 week to make good. If your payment, however, is not on my desk at the end of said week, I'm going to come over to your home and personally repossess those draperies. Yes, I'm talking about ripping them out of the walls, hardware and all. And Mr. Pittman, remember, I still have your house keys. Don't make me use them. And it might be wise if you ask yourself, do I know where my iguana is?
T. Tommy kind of looks like that hillbilly guy that made me dance with him. Do you remember that?
You mean that time I had to slow dance for 3 hours with a person named Daddy Jones who chewed tobacco and hadn't had a bath since Eisenhower? Vaguely. If you really want to feel like crying, why don't you try being one of those women who holds down a job, raises a family on the side, watches her legal rights erode year after year, and is still being told that women's liberation has gone too far. That ought to make you feel like crying. Oh. I'm sorry, but I cannot stand it in there 1 more minute. I can put a pillow over my head. I can put my fingers in my ears and hum Melancholy Baby, but I cannot, and I will not, go back in that bathroom.
It's all right, Julia. We finished.
Oh. Thank you. But you remember that.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that if I were you.
Worry. Oh, Anthony, this is way past worry. This show is in trouble. We've been rehearsing for days. We haven't even gotten through this number once. I have restrained myself in the face of her gin-soaked harangues, and I have reached my limit. If something isn't done around here, I am going to hog-tie that woman and drag her out to the Betty Ford Clinic myself. Carlene, did you proofread this ad before you took it to the newspaper?
I thought I did.
Then why does it read, "The Little Theater proudly presents Jerry Herman's Maimed, M-A-M-E-D"?
Oh, Julia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that they were going to do that. I'm so sorry.
Carlene, I cannot believe you did this. If anyone needs me, I will be down at the newspaper office straightening out this mess. Heads are going to roll.
I'm an old Navy man, so let me put it this way. This mall is my ship. I run a tight ship. Your friend was a barnacle, so we scraped him off.
Apparently, you've broken loose from your moorings, Skipper.
Sir, we just feel that apology is in order, and we came down to make sure that our friend gets one.
I'd apologize if my crew did something wrong.
Violating civil rights, using excessive force.
I'm just doing my job.
Well, let this serve as notice that you have now lost 5 customers from this mall.
Well, who?
Us.
Well, I've never shopped here.
It doesn't matter.
It's for the impact. Okay, I didn't know it was for the impact.
So tonight, the 5 of us will be calling 5 of our friends, and they will call 5 of their friends. And before long, there will be no one left on this sinking ship but you and your uniformed rats, matey.
Excuse me. I am not really with these people.
Say, Allison, thank you for having the solidarity of a bowl of Jell-O.
Well, if you ladies have had your say, I've got to check
I'm
out
not
the upper deck.
finished.
Yes, you are finished, or I'll have you physically removed.
I'd like to see you try it. Don't play a hand on me.
Lady, you're trespassing. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested.
By whom? Your gang of slack-jawed teenage mutants? I don't think so.
In the midst of their extremist harangues, I maintained a middle-of-the-road position.
Say, Allison, the only thing you're likely to find in the middle of the road is a yellow streak and some dead possums.
Now she's fixed it to where we can't go on at all.
Oh, yes, we can. We're going to get in those costumes, and we're just going to go on out and do this show. You won a place, Carlene, in this contest, and we're not going to let you down. We just have a little business to take care of first.
Places, ladies.
Excuse me, sir. Would you be so good as to show us to Heather McFall's dressing room?
Mm-hmm. Right this way.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. I just had a most interesting and enlightening conversation with the director of the boys' camp.
Oh, yeah? What'd you say?
I told him it was ridiculous to expect us to stay here in this ramshackle pigsty when there are well-equipped cabins over at the boys' camp.
Oh, what did he say?
Well, maybe you ought to go home. So I said that we had every bit as much right to spend the night in the woods as the boys did, but we did require adequate facilities.
What did he say?
Maybe you ought to go home. Then he stretched out in his outdoors Munbarco lounger and went back to flipping the channels on his big screen TV. Whereupon I inadvertently reached down and yanked out his coaxial cable.
What did he say?
Well, that was the big game. What do you expect me to do now?
What did you say?
Maybe you ought to go home.
Excellent work, Julia. We're trying to send those little girls a message.
When they find our cold, stiff, frozen corpses out here in the morning, they're gonna get a message, all right. It's gonna say we're stupid. Okay, that's it. I've had enough of this nonsense.
Julia, listen. Film is a very collaborative effort. Now, I've worked very hard to get all of you speaking parts, and I think that Alan Ebert has been enormously flexible.
Allison, have you no grasp of reality? You have been flim-flammed, bamboozled, and just plain ripped off. I think you should put this thong bikini to some practical use and lash your friend Alan Ebert to that hog because he is making a big fool of you. I cannot believe this. Have you all lost your
Dirty minds. Have you been taken in by this Hollywood hype? Have you no dignity? Have you no pride?
Am I glad that's over?
And wasn't it silly? I mean, frankly, I wasn't even sure what you were mad about.
Excuse me?
Well, I might have been just a little condescending, but you have to admit, you overreacted just a tiny bit. Not that that matters now. I'm perfectly happy to accept all the blame because our friendship is more important.
That's because you're a saint, Julia. Boy, are you a piece of work. I cannot believe that you are saying that you don't know why I was mad. I think I was pretty damn clear.
Well, ooh, obviously there is more to this than some silly letter.
My letter was not silly.
Oh, Mary Jo, you know I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, obviously, you've got something stuck in your craw, but I don't think this is the perfect time or place to discuss it.
Oh, really? That's what my mother used to say. And you know what? There was never a right time and a right place. You know what I think? I think this is a great place and the perfect time because I, for one, want to have it out because I've had it up to here with your I for ones and all your other holy pronouncements that come down from Mount Julia.
Well, far be it from me.
Oh, and that is the expression I hate the most. Thank you so much for reminding me. It epitomizes that superior attitude that you use like a sledgehammer on the rest of us.
Mary Jo, did you or did you not ask for my opinion of your letter?
I said proofread it. That means spell check. And as for your opinion, and let me make this perfectly clear, I think I speak for the majority. Sometimes we don't want to hear your opinion. Sometimes we don't care if you have an opinion. And sometimes, and maybe you want to write this down, Julia, sometimes your opinion is wrong. Don't you dare turn your back on me when I'm having a discussion with you. I'm not finished with you yet, Miss Thought Police.
Would you back up just a little bit, Mary Jo? Your hot breath is taking the curl out of my hair.
Oh. Am I embarrassing you, Julia? Am I annoying you, Julia? Because you know what? I'm going to be all over you. I'm going to be up in your face. I'm going to be stuck to you. I'm stuck to you. What?
Celine, I cannot believe that you can even talk about going to bed when we have the chips stacked up high like this. I mean, what? Are you crazy? In a couple of hours, Mary Jo and I are going to have armed escorts to get us out of here. That's the kind of luck we're having. And you stand there and talk about leaving so you can hit the sack? Have you all just completely lost your mind?
I knew she was going to say that. I wish you all had taken that bet.
Julia, during the course of conversation, it occurred to me that maybe Anthony should try and buy Etienne off. But he didn't want to just take my money. It was a matter of pride for him.
Oh, I see. So you allowed him to maintain his dignity by having him run naked through the lobby.
He was in his underpants.
I just wish y'all had told me all this before I spent $12 on cab fare going to see that Buddhist judge, because obviously your plan is so much more logical and well thought out.
I'm glad you think so, because I just wasn't so sure, Julia.
What is wrong with you people? But you just come back whenever you feel like it. Anthony, you gotta listen to me. You cannot let me fail here. I have to have an impact on you. I have my reputation to think of, too, here.
Okay, Julia, if I promise to come back to work today, this afternoon, will you promise not to try to jolly me out of my depression?
You want to feel depressed?
I need to, Julia. Deal?
Deal.
Julia, is that it? Girl, you are fierce.
Out of business. Listen to me, Agent Richard of Trans-Global Airlines. I have been traveling, if you could call it that, for the last 17 hours. I am starved. I am stranded. And I am beyond tired. My back is twisted. My feet are killing me. I have not bathed. I have an extremely expensive ball gown I have been waiting for 12 long years to wear. Make no mistake about it, Agent Richard. I am going to Washington. If I have to kick off these shoes, claw my way across this counter, and connect your head permanently to that computer, you are flying me to Washington. So if you do not have an airplane, I suggest you start flapping your wings.
Walking out of the gallery as you did, do you think Mona Lisa walked out on Leonardo?
Mona Lisa was asked. Nigel, you appropriated and exploited my body without asking
Oh,
my
I'm an
permission.
artist. That's what we do.
Oh, no, you don't. Being an artist does not give you this kind of license. And I'm not just talking about me now. I'm talking about that innocent young girl way back then who was young, trusting, eager to learn from a man that she believed was sensitive and giving. Turns out, Nigel, you're no giver. You're a pure taker.
That passion. God, you're beautiful. I want to paint you right now.
I don't think painting is what you have in mind, frankly. You ask me, why me? Out of all those women, well, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was the only one who wouldn't give myself to you, so you had to steal me.
Julia.
Nigel, excuse me, there is only one Julia. And she is now asking you to leave.
All right. But I have the Julia that I want.
Oh, I almost forgot. More yellow!
But the last thing I need right now is a date.
Where did that concept that every woman's problem can be solved by a date come from, anyway?
I believe that was my idea, Julia.
Like that's gonna fix everything. If a woman has a migraine headache, find her a man. If her car breaks down, find her a man. If she has a split personality, find her a man.
Or two men.
So, you think the four of you can handle me?
Well, Mr. Harvey, I think I can handle you all by myself. You see, it's not just that you offended us with your lurid advances. It's not just that you way overestimated your attractiveness. It's not even that you're the kind of man mothers spend years warning their daughters about. The biggest mistake you made, Mr. Harvey, other than that tie, is that you tried to come between us.
Does that mean I'm not going to get anything?
Actually, it's BJ's birthday. We're gonna let her give it to you.
Believe that people could be so gullible as to stand out in my driveway, put their faith in something as ludicrous as a snow shovel.
Excuse me, Jaded. Oh, just Jade.
Well, just Jade. Let me just get this straight.
Uh-oh, you've heard of the shovel of Shively, now witness the jaws of Julia.
You see, I have the utmost respect for people who see an opportunity and seize it. However, when that transaction requires profiteering from people's faith, however misplaced or misguided that faith may be, then that amounts to, in a word, exploitation. And that's not nice, Jade. And now you want my friend, Mary Jo Shively, to compromise her integrity and jump into that snake pit with you? I don't think so.
For 50% of the profit, Julia, a shovel free. 50%.
To tell you the truth, Julia, it sounds like a real good business deal to me.
It's a great deal. It's a done deal.
Mary Jo, have you just completely lost your mind?
Have I lost my mind? Julia, it's a shovel. If it makes people happy to worship a shovel, then who are we to stand in their way? So unless you are suggesting that I hold out for 60%, what is your problem?
My problem is that you are aiding and abetting this woman's cheap trade. And on you, Miss Mary Jo Shively, that is not very attractive. We'll do it your way, Julia.
Max, God is working through you now.
God working miracles through Mary Jo? I don't think so.
Well, why not, Julia?
Well, I believe that if God were going to choose someone to work through, he might pick someone who was extremely devout. Someone whose entire life had been a shining example of faith and virtue.
And who am I, Julia? Squeaky Frome?
I think you underestimate Mary Jo, Julia. I mean, after all, a man was healed by her touch.
Or by accident, or by coincidence, or by his own belief. How can you be so almighty sure that it was Mary Jo?
And how can you be so sure it wasn't? I know I'm feeling something radiating from Mary Jo.
You know, it's true. I have been feeling sort of energized lately. Lighter, somehow.
It must be all that hot air.
Everybody feels that way at the beginning. You're just on the threshold of your full potential.
Mary Jo, do you really believe that of all the people in the whole world, God has picked you, little Mary Jo Shively?
And why not me, Julia? What's wrong with me? Little Mary Jo Shively was apparently powerful enough to inspire those people out there, right, Jay?
Get a grip, Mary Jo. Sonny Bono could inspire those people out there. Let me have that. This is illegal, and this seance is ridiculous.
Oh, get with a program, Julia.
No, thank you, Mary Jo. But you all go right ahead, and if for some reason you should leave your bodies, make sure you pick them up when you're all done. All right. Have you all just completely lost your minds? We'll put a stop to this right now. Miss Beecham, would you come out here for a second? I'm just gonna tell her she's worn out her welcome, and she's gonna have to go.
In my day, if a lady bellowed like that, her tongue was tied with sewing thread until she learned to speak like a lady.
I bet you miss those old days, don't you?
Miss Beecham, we need to talk. That is to say, I need to talk, you need to listen. Now, you know how important you've always been to me, so this doesn't come easily. I just hope that you'll accept it with the love and respect with which it's intended. Your time is up. You've worn out your welcome. Go home.
No.
What?
I am home. I came here because Erwin told me to, and I now realize that he sent me here for a reason. Not for you to take care of me, but for me to take care of you. You know, when I arrived here, everything was completely disorganized. But now we are running a tight ship, and I haven't even started yet. I'm not going anywhere.
Hit the lights.
By the way, Julia, Mrs. Beecham wanted me to give you these. Tips on how to be efficient.
Efficient. More efficient. Number 1, rise at 6 a.m. Number 2, rugged hike for 3 miles before breakfast. I don't think so.
You're gonna be my little woman. But for right now, all I want is a kiss.
Mr. Rhett Butler from Charleston, I am not now, nor ever will be, anybody's little woman. And if any man should ever put a gun in front of me to clean it, make no mistake about it, it will go off, and it will not be pretty. And as for that Georgia peach, yes, I am Southern, and yes, I am definitely in season. But not even Mr. Rhett Butler from Charleston is gonna shake me down and take a bite.
Does this mean no kiss?
Who knows? Tomorrow is another day.
We are going to do this job, and you are just gonna have to grin and bear it.
I don't think so, Mary Jo. Need I remind you that I am the Sugarbaker whose name is on the door of that design firm?
Oh, and may I remind you that it was I who started this business with you, and perhaps it should be Sugarbaker and Shively.
And Dauber.
Forget it. Sugarbakers. He wants it for Kiki. We'll be working for her.
Kiki Bakers? Not so long as there is breath left in this body. I'm going out there right now and tell that woman.
Did you say you're thinking of tearing down this staircase?
That's right, lady. You got a problem with that?
Julia?
Julia?
Battle stations.
Lady, what do you think you're doing?
As God is my witness, this staircase is not coming down. So, Kiki, before this thing is finalized and all the paperwork is done and the takeover's complete and your name really is on my business, this is my desk and this is my house and you're on your way out my door.